If you are worrying about your guest's experience on your wedding day, by the end of this video, you will know exactly what to focus on to ensure that your wedding day is memorable for your guests for all of the right reasons. For the best uncensored wedding planning advice, subscribe to our channel and make sure you hit the notifications bell so that you will be notified every single Tuesday when we upload a new video. As a wedding day coordinator, we work with couples in the final stages of wedding planning to ensure that their wedding day is memorable for all of the right reasons. And now it's your turn. Wedding day crickets. Now, throughout the entire video, this is going to be the overarching theme. You want to avoid cricket moments throughout any part of your wedding day, and all of the things that we're going to talk about within this video will kind of point to how you can avoid those moments. Now, for those of you who have never heard of wedding day crickets, this is what wedding day crickets sounds like. It's the worst. It's the worst. It's those moments of inactivity or silence on your wedding day where your guests do not have a clue about what to expect, what is happening, or what's coming next. You need to ensure that you keep your guests informed throughout your wedding day to avoid these moments. Now, we definitely recommend for every wedding that there is some kind of MC, master of ceremonies, toastmaster, best man who's been allocated the role of making sure that he keeps the guests informed. Moments to look out for to avoid cricket type scenarios are cocktail hour. If you call it cocktail hour, keep it as an hour, otherwise call it a drinks reception or something else, so your guests kind of don't then associate it with finishing in a certain amount of time. After the church, make sure that you informed guests before the ceremony starts about what is going to happen throughout the ceremony and after the ceremony concludes, so they are fully aware of whether they should remain seated, whether they should get up and go straight to the reception, or if they need to wait for something else. Another point in time where you need to make sure that you let them know what's happening is before and during dinner. Let them know that we're going to go in to eat. Let them know that there are going to be speeches after the main course has been served, and let them know what time the bar's going to open. These kind of touch points will allow your guests to feel fully informed and not kind of feel like they're in limbo on your wedding day. No limbo on your wedding day. That is what you definitely want to avoid having for any of your guests. Their experience will kind of be ruined if they're constantly feeling like, what's going on? Climate control. Climate control is a biggie. Your guests will notice two things: if they are too hot or if they are too cold. If you are having a winter wedding, make sure you speak to your venue when you're going on your site visit to ask questions like, what time will you turn on the heating, and will it ensure that the venue is warm enough when our guests arrive? If it's really cold where you live or in your area, or you know you get really bad winters, you don't want your guests coming in from the cold into the cold. They are going to stand shivering, they're going to be uncomfortable, and it is going to stay with them for the rest of the day until they warm up. On the flip side, if you live in a really hot location, or you're having your wedding in summer and you know that there's a potential that there's going to be a heat wave or it's going to be really hot, you do not want to expose your guests to that heat. Now, if you're having an outdoor ceremony, you need to be mindful that the ceremony will need to start promptly. That means you being reasonably late as a bride goes from maybe 30 to 45 minutes to 15 to 20 minutes. Your guests will arrive early, they will be sitting outdoors in the direct sun. They will then have to sit for the duration of your ceremony, and then they will have to wait till after your ceremony to know what to do next. And you may even be considering giving them a drinks reception or a cocktail hour with canapes and drinks outside. So make sure that you take into consideration the climate and how long your guests are going to be expected to stay within extreme weather conditions, heat conditions on your wedding day. Location, location, location. Now, in this video, in this scenario, your location can be a huge cricket-inducing moment for your guests, and that is when your guests have got lost because your venue is in the middle of nowhere and they arrive at your wedding and they are extremely miffed, and you can tell, and they're silent and they're awkward, and it just doesn't set up for a very nice guest experience for the rest of the day if they've been upset and agitated before they've even arrived. If you know that your location is tricky to find or awkward, or the postcode for whatever reason, which happens a lot, does not match the venue, make sure that you do as much as you can to make your guests aware that the venue may be difficult to find. Now, guests will still get lost, but at least if you've told them that the venue is tricky and given them suggestions on how they can avoid getting lost, they will forgive you, and there will be a lot less angry or frustrated when they arrive at your wedding day. One thing that we do when we always go on site visits is we sit in the car like weirdos with our phones, recording practically from the station if you've got public transport to a new location, all the way to the venue or part way to the venue. And that's so that we can signpost certain areas en route that we can tell vendors and suppliers about, or guests should they call us and ask. We also ensure that we make sure we know of any public transport facilities such as taxi companies which are close to stations, who know the local area, and ask them if they've been to the venue, so that we know that if anyone is travelling from outside of your location by train or by coach, that they can easily jump in a taxi when they get to the station, who will be able to take them safely and easily to the venue that you're getting married. The size of your venue sounds like a weird one, but this is a huge cricket-inducing, guest experience killing scenario. So if your venue is too big, it's going to mean that the atmosphere that you want to create for your wedding is going to be disjointed. It's going to feel like there's no one there. Everyone's going to kind of feel more aware and self-conscious that everyone can see them. So if someone's a little bit shy about shaking a leg, they're not necessarily going to do that feeling like all eyes are on them. On the flip side, you also don't want to get a venue which is too small. If it's too small and people feel compact or overcrowded, or they feel squashed, or even if they're sitting on their tables and they're really close to one another, that too can have a negative impact on your guest experience. So do make sure that you invite adequate numbers for the venue space. Now, the venues will always tell you the capacity of the venue. We recommend that you always kind of reduce the capacity by 10% to make sure that you have a comfortable guest experience. We have all been guests at weddings, and we would love to know some of the weirdest, strangest, or worst guest experiences that you have had at a wedding. Service. Service is extremely important on your wedding day, and it's extremely important for your guests more than anything. Your guests will notice if the service is off, and it will make them feel awkward and uncomfortable. So make sure that if you're having a buffet, that there is enough staff to man the buffet and it is manned efficiently. Make sure that you've thought about things like what table order you're going to call up guests in and how quickly you will be able to get through those guests. If you're having family food, bowl style, where all of the food comes to the table and everyone shares the potatoes, the vegetables, the meat, the rice, the fish, whatever it might be, you need to make sure that those catering staff are briefed to make sure that they bring all of that food out at the same time for each table. The worst thing when family style food is being served is when someone brings out the potatoes and the veg and then there's nothing else for 30 minutes whilst they give potato and veg to everyone else, and then they bring out the meat, maybe the salads and rice, what have you, and your food is now cold, and then you're adding hot food to the cold plate. It's not a nice guest experience, and it will spoil it for them. Your guests are going to be with you for a long duration during the day, and so it's really important that the food's on point and that it's served to a good standard. So make sure the service is impeccable. Another thing, make sure you brief the service staff. We do this all the time with catering staff that we've never worked with. They get to know, love and trust us really quickly so that we can work with them really efficiently and effectively to ensure that service is on point and that they're happy. And if they're happy, everybody else is happy. Waiting. There are 2 points within the day where your guests will be happy to wait. The first point is when you are arriving at the church. So the bride is the only person that is allowed to be reasonably late, and they will wait, say, up to 45 minutes maybe for the bride. The other time that they will be happy to wait is when they're in the queue for alcohol. And even then, that's only understanding that they're not waiting for a huge length of time. And if the alcohol is free, they will definitely wait for that alcohol. But any other time during your day, you need to make sure that you reduce the amount of waiting time that your guests have. And like I said before, with the service, things like the buffet table, getting into your venue, leaving the church, all of these times you need to allocate to and pay attention to on your timeline. Speeches. Now, if you have checked out our video on the 14 things your guests don't give up about, then you will know that speeches occurs in that list. Speeches are one of those things that will also encourage your guests to completely zone out and probably leave home early. Now, in extreme cases, if Auntie Edna decides to give a 2-hour speech, nobody is going to be in the mood for dancing after that is over. So make sure that you keep your speeches concise. We've already created a downloadable template to allow you to know exactly the type of speech that you should be writing. So check that out in the link in the description box. Family dynamics. You know your family. If they don't get on, anticipate the worst and manage it. In the worst case scenario, I would honestly say, hand on heart, do not invite any family members who are going to cause any kind of animosity or tension to your wedding. In the same way that your guests will be able to feel the love and the happiness and the warmth between you and your partner, they will also be able to sense, feel, and literally taste the animosity, tension, and bad feeling between anybody at your wedding. It's completely down to you, but do bear in mind it will have a negative impact on your wedding if there are family dynamics which are unchecked. So now you know exactly what to do, avoid, say, think about when considering the experience of your wedding guests to ensure that they have an amazing time. Like we said, we've done there's a link in the description box below for a free download for your speech template. And we've also got a video on the 14 things that your guests don't care about, which will help you to also identify the sorts of things that you can miss out on your wedding day to save you time and money. If you want to join a community of wedding planning bosses just like you, don't forget to head over to our Facebook group where we provide free advice and community for you along your whole wedding journey. You'll find the link in the description box below and we look forward to seeing you there. Check out this video next on the 14 things that your guests do not give a flying about, and also the questions you should ask your venue before you book. If you've liked this video, please subscribe, hit the notifications bell and share it with friends who are also planning their weddings.